Today, we're diving into a massive shift in how we approach our health. We're moving away from that old one-size-fits-all advice and stepping into a world of hyper-personalized, data-driven wellness. It's all about decoding you. So let's jump right in.
It really all boils down to this one simple but really powerful question. We're definitely living longer than any generation before us. That's a fact. But is a longer life automatically a better life? A healthier one? Well, the data suggests there's a pretty big gap we need to talk about.
And that brings us to this crucial distinction between two key ideas, lifespan and health span. Okay, so lifespan, that's the easy one. It's just the number of years you're alive, the number of candles on your birthday cake. But health span, that's about the quality of those years. How long do you stay healthy, active, and free from all those chronic diseases? The goal is totally shifting from just adding more years to our lives to adding more life to our years.
All right, so to really get our heads around this, here's the game plan. We'll start by digging into that longevity gap. Then we'll explore the incredible new tools we have, things like biological age tests and digital twins. And we'll wrap up by looking at what all of this means for the future of your health.
Okay, so let's start with this concept, the longevity gap. Because while we're living longer, those extra years have unexpectedly brought a whole new set of health challenges that, honestly, our great-grandparents never even had to think about.
And this really puts it into perspective. Think about it. Back in 1900, the average American lived to be about 47 years old. Fast forward to 2010, and that number skyrockets to around 78. Now, that is a huge win for medicine, no doubt, but it also means we now have decades, literally decades, for complex age-related conditions to develop, things that used to be pretty rare. Basically, our health span just hasn't kept up with our lifespan.
So the big question is, how do we close that gap? Well, the good news is that technology is handing us this incredibly powerful new toolkit to help us live not just longer, but a whole lot better. And we're going to zoom in on three really game-changing areas. First, there are tests that can tell you your body's true biological age. Second, we've got something called nutrigenomics, which is basically nutrition tailored specifically to your DNA. And third, and this one is wild, is AI-powered digital twins, a virtual you that can help predict your body's future.
So let's kick things off with biological age. Your chronological age, right? That's just how many birthdays you've had. But your biological age, that tells you how well your body is actually aging on a cellular level. It's crazy, but two people born on the exact same day can have biological ages that are decades apart. So how on earth do we measure this? Well, the gold standard method looks at something called DNA methylation. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Imagine tiny little chemical tags or switches all over your DNA. Now, they don't change your actual genes, but they control which ones get turned on and which ones get turned off. And these patterns of switches change in really predictable ways as we get older, creating what scientists call an epigenetic clock.
And not all of these tests are created equal, not even close. What's so fascinating here is the massive difference in the data they look at. So on one end of the spectrum, you have a test like epigenetic, which checks out just 13 of these little methylation markers. Then there's glycanage, which uses a totally different approach, focusing more on the immune system. But then you have a research-grade test like TrueAge Complete,
which analyzes over 900,000 of these markers. No, that's not a typo. Nearly 1 million data points from your body, compared to just 13. I mean, the level of detail is just staggering. This incredible resolution gives you a much richer, way more detailed picture of how your whole body and even your individual organs are aging.
Okay, let's move on to the next tool in our new health toolkit, nutrigenomics. It sounds complicated, but it's really the science of how your unique genetic code influences how you respond to different foods. So you can forget about those generic food pyramids we all grew up with. This is about eating for your specific biology.
And the best part is, the process is becoming surprisingly simple. You just collect a sample at home, could be saliva, a drop of blood, or a stool sample. Then, a powerful AI engine gets to work analyzing your genetic and your microbial data. And from that, you get these incredibly detailed recommendations, your personal list of superfoods, foods you might want to avoid, and even the precise supplements your body actually needs. And that brings us to what might just be the most futuristic concept of them all. The digital twin. Just imagine a virtual model of your own metabolism, a digital you that you can use for experiments without any of the real-world risk. I mean, this quote from Fit Insider just perfectly captures the power of this idea. Imagine you're trying to decide between a croissant and a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast. Instead of just eating one and waiting to see how you feel, you could just ask your digital twin and see how each one will impact your blood sugar before you even take a bite.
So how is this even possible? Well, it works by combining all the data from your wearables, like your fitness watch or maybe a continuous glucose monitor, with some seriously powerful AI. The system literally learns your body's unique responses over time and builds a predictive model, that virtual copy of your metabolism, that lives right there on your phone.
So, when you put all this together, what does it all add up to? Well, it's a fundamental shift, really. We're moving from a reactive healthcare model, treating sickness after it happens, to a truly proactive one, where we use our own data to optimize our wellness and prevent disease from happening in the first place.
And make no mistake, this is not some niche little trend. If you look at the nutrigenomics market, you can see exactly where the demand is. The biggest slice of the pie, over 24%, is for obesity and weight management, and that's followed closely by things like cardiovascular health, diabetes, and just general wellness. People are actively looking for these kinds of personalized solutions.
And honestly, the numbers tell a really powerful story. In 2024, right now, the market for this kind of personalized nutrition is already worth $1.6 billion. This isn't some far-off future, friend. A lot of people are already investing in this tech today.
But just look at the growth. This market is projected to absolutely explode, hitting nearly $7 billion by 2034. That's a growth rate of almost 16% every single year. That's the sign of a true revolution in health and wellness, not just some passing fad. So at the end of the day, the real takeaway is this. The science fiction of personalized health is now science fact. The tools to decode our unique biology are already here. So the question we're left with isn't if we can personalize health anymore. The real question is how are we going to use this incredible power to reshape not just how long we live, but how well.